r/AskReddit by QuriosityCat. What is the stupidest thing you thought as a child? Not me, but my son. He didn't want us to get a new TV because he liked the shows on the old one. To be fair, my parents have said similar things about their computer and email. OP's son is your dad. I'm my own grandpa. I was told that God lived up in the sky. For some reason, the highest thing I could imagine was the pipe sticking out of the neighbor's roof. So I thought God lived in the pipe. I have a friend who teaches. A kid asked her when they give money at church, how does a church get it to God? My friend jokingly said they tie it to a balloon and let it float up to heaven. The kid said he was going to ask her pastor if she could watch next time they did it. My friend teaches high school juniors. My friend teaches high school juniors? Discordant violin noise. Hey, that's a pretty funny, cute story. My friend teaches high school juniors? Plot twist, he's homeschooled. That by mixing chocolate and vanilla I could make caramel. Edit, oh damn, what happened overnight? Anyways, thanks for the karma. The reality is so much easier, too. Literally just cook sugar for a while. Kid or adult, though. Be mindful not to burn yourself. Caramel/melted sugar is way above water boiling temperature when cooking, so can give very nasty burns. And also stuff like that doesn't move like water either. It'll probably get stuck to you, and burn the duck out of wherever it's got stuck, while you scream and try to remove it. When I was 3 or 4, I asked my dad where babies come from. I got whole sperm plus egg equals baby, which made some kind of sense. Then I asked where the sperm comes from, and he said it comes from the daddy's penis. Unfortunately, or maybe fortunately, I stopped asking questions there, and had a mental picture of my dad peeing through a tea strainer and catching a little flopping tadpole, which he would then stuff into my mom's vagina. It took a few years before I was disabused of that notion, probably on the playground at school. I too was told the basics at a very young age, but I had absolutely no concept of sex, so I just imagined my parents mixing all this stuff up in a sink to make a baby. I remember asking my mother what those pills were on her night table. She told me that they were birth control pills, and if she stopped taking them she'd have a baby. Years later, as we kids got to the age where we started to really learn about reproduction, I was still sure that there was no sex involved. Just stop taking those pills and voila, baby. My dad said that he put me inside my mum, so I thought that she went to the hospital and cut her stomach open and my dad put a small me in there and they sewed it back up. I had seen photos of some sperm cells and thought that their shape was pretty similar to a duck head, glans penis. This made me think that the duck head is a sperm cell and every man has one sperm cell at a time. Whenever you have sexual intercourse, the duck head just passes into the woman and your penis is left there without a head. I had a similar notion that each testicle represented one child, that is, 2 kids and a guy was done. Seems I didn't think too deeply about the implications of families with 3+ kids. I think I was a low wattage bulb. Not at all. You were interpreting data, drawing inferences from that interpretation, processing those inferences, and applying your results in a theoretical way via logical steps that you could draw from reality. High wattage, and it seems as if it was second nature to you. Being wrong is fine, being mentally sedentary, or worse, totally dismissive, is dangerous. I thought that every song that played on the radio was being performed somewhere live, and when you turned up the volume the singer would sing louder at his or her venue. Oh, this but double for me because my grandfather was a radio presenter when I was a kid. So I'd hear my papa on the radio and know he was in a room somewhere. I thought there was a band there with him cranking out the hits. It didn't help that, in true grandfather style, he encouraged the belief. In the very first decades of radio this actually happened, live shows were more common. I noticed that I was able to jump off of the playground and land on my feet and be perfectly fine, so my child mind immediately decided I was a superhero and could land from any height and be perfectly fine. I went to my friend's house, jumped off his roof, and the next thing I remember is crying until my mom picked me up. I thought so too, but I jumped out of the back of a moving vehicle because I saw one of my friends and my parents didn't stop the truck. It didn't go so well. Narrator, and they never saw their parents again. I used to think that the money offering collected at church would be put into a huge cannon to be shot up to heaven for Jesus. I thought the preacher burned it every Sunday evening and the smoke carried it up to God. That, if two artists made a song together, it must mean they are a couple. I thought Donnie and Marie were a married couple for so long, found out they were siblings and was like you. But they're married. I couldn't fathom how thermoses worked. People told me that they keep hot things hot, and cold things cold. But I was like, how in the duck does it know whether the thing inside it is hot or cold so as to keep it that way? Took me many a year to figure that out. I used to believe I could save up my hots and my colds to use them later. For example, if it was really hot outside, I would whisper, "Save up all these hots." Then when I would get cold, I would summon the extra hots by whispering, "Give me all my hots," and it was supposed to make me warmer. I thought that any time any woman went to the hospital, it was to have a baby. My 98-year-old great-grandmother was in the hospital and all I wanted to know is when the baby was gonna get here. This is really common with young kids. I think they are shown hospitals as the place where babies are born, instead of the place where sick or hurt people go, to make them less afraid. Sex was just making out with no clothes on. I feel like we all thought this at one point. I met someone who thought sleeping together literally just meant sleeping in the same bed, and freaked out that she would get pregnant when on a school trip they required people to share beds. She was 14. Everyone on the trip was a girl. This is why sex education is important. This was me at age 13 without the pregnancy idea. My mom asked me if my boyfriend and I were sleeping together, and I answered, "We didn't have enough time together to go take naps." You did answer her question though. I thought catching on fire as an adult is common because of all the fire safety in elementary and them beating, stop, drop, and roll into our heads. And quicksand. I thought it would play a much larger role in my life. Right? It seemed like every single movie and TV show growing up had some episode where someone had to escape quicksand, and I was like, oh, shoot, I better be prepared for when I inevitably fall in quicksand as an adult. I have fallen into quicksand multiple times in my adult life. But I'm a land surveyor. That the eject button on my dad's car would send me flying through the roof. Now I imagine a dad doing that when he has gotten enough of the kid, just push a button and send him off the roof. He did threaten to when my siblings and I got annoying. I thought Santa hated me because he didn't give me presents on Christmas. I'm Jewish, and my parents didn't want me to be that kid who told his classmates that Santa doesn't exist. So I ended up believing in Santa until I was about 8, when I saw two mall Santas get into a fight in the parking lot of the mall. Great way to figure out Santa isn't real. I figured out Santa wasn't real when I got a She-Ra crystal castle and no She-Ra doll. I tried to jam a Barbie in the castle and broke it, followed by an epic meltdown in the castle being taken away. I told my parents Santa wasn't real because he wouldn't have made that mistake. My powers of deduction peaked when I was 4. I thought burglary was a profession and that criminals' shifts started when the sun set and they'd be on all night robbing houses. To calm my fears, I would put my blinds up a little, lay down in a pile of stuffed animals and freeze, staring out the window. My thought was I'd look like a doll and if a burglar saw me through the window, they wouldn't realize I was a human and then I could get up and call 911 when they looked away. I fell asleep in that stuffed animal pile every night for 2 years. Edit, words. I did the 2 but I was hiding from the aliens. That the sun never set, and the night sky was just a giant, blacked up with holes poked into it, and the sunlight shining through made the stars. Don't let flat earthers see this. That's not far from their beliefs. My stepdad told me if I ate too much chicken I would have feathers under my arms like grandma. Totally bought it. Your grandma has feathers under her arms? Bingo wings. When we were little, my twin sister was convinced that chicken, beef, etc. was produced by vacuuming the meat out of the living animal. The animal would then walk around all wobbly and meatless until more meat grew back. This one makes me laugh at the idea of the wobbly animals. Swallowing gum makes it stuck in your stomach for 7 years or something. One time I ate like 50 bubble gums, and it came out in this huge wad. BRB. Going out to buy 50 bubble gums. That's tough. It was actually pretty awesome and it looks super weird. I could have lived my whole life not knowing that there was someone who sat behind a couple hundred computer screens and controlled every traffic light in the city. I wasn't the sharpest bulb in the bag of hammers. At one point I believed that the people controlling the traffic lights were inside the poles. I didn't put a lot of thought into that one. There was a Skittles commercial where they put some Skittles in the ground and they grew into a Skittles tree. I tried growing a Skittles tree at the park for about 3 years before my family moved. Everyone knows it takes 4 years to grow a Skittles tree. Every year the trees in our yard would lose their leaves. Every year my dad raked up the leaves and put them into yard waste bags. With me so far, kid logic dictated that my dad kept the bags of leaves in the shed, so he could glue them back onto the trees next spring. I did not grow up to become an arborist. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. Do you know a great AskReddit thread that you'd like to see on this channel? Let me know in the comments below. Please subscribe to our channel and smash that like button. We'd really appreciate it. The Curiosity Cat is watching and meowing. Meow. Talk to you later.